After grinding and spending a lot of money on over 150 pulls, I finally got Skirk.
There it is! Okay! Finally!
Skirk.
I maxed her out, leveled her up, and gave her some amazing artifacts. So in today's video, I'm going to be comparing her to the best DPS in the game, Mavuika, to see if she's actually worth the hype and if you should pull her now or wait for the second half. Also, only a small percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed, so consider subscribing as it's free and you can always change your mind. Alright, the first victim of these two characters is my favorite boss, the Dorito. This is going to be a nuke test where both are on their best, most premium 5-star teams. Well, that was quick, and both the characters destroyed the Dorito within almost the same time, basically. Based on just that, we really cannot come to conclusions at all. I would normally try comparing them against another overworld boss like the Geovisha, for example, but these two melt it within 2 seconds, so that really doesn't help, comparing them. So next, we are going up against a boss with 9.7 million HP. That's right, Potapo's Solidarity. Both characters are still in their best teams with their best supports with cracked 5-star weapons and insane artifacts. I will go more into detail on their build later as it is very important. We'll also talk about their supports builds right after this fight gets over. I will also be including more comparisons, for example no escofi versus no citlali test, a low spender comparison, an F2P or quote-unquote F2P test with only 4-star only teams and weapons, an AoE test, a spiral abyss test, and more, which should give you a good idea of who's better and when, depending on their teams and what characters you might have. Also, just to clear up some confusion, you might say that this is completely unfair towards Skirk, as the Vibe has 50% cryo resistance. Well, I did some calculations and apparently feeding her a cryo damage potion along with an Adeptus Temptation makes it completely fair. And also it was because I could not find another respawnable boss that didn't die within 2 seconds, also while not killing me within 10 seconds, but that's besides the point. As you can see, Mavuika clears about 10 whole seconds faster than Skirk, so she wins this one. Before we continue though, I would like to show you all my builds, what sets they're running, what weapons all my supports have, what constellation my Furina is, etc, etc. So that you can get more context and a better idea of what is actually going on. My Skirk is using Haran, which is her second best weapon. She's using the new 4-piece set, Finale of the Deep Galleries, and these are her stats. You can check it out. She is C0, and I have 9 talents. Escofi is using her R1 signature, and 4-piece Golden Troop, and so is Furina, who is on Favonius. My Furina is C2, which is a massive 20% overall increase in team damage. My Shenhe is using her R1 signature, Calamity Queller, and she's using 4-piece Noblesse. Let's look at my Mavuika's build. So these are her stats. She's using her R1 signature weapon, she's C1, and she has some really cracked artifacts, okay? Alright. Citlali's on Throwing Tails, running 4-piece Scroll, she's C0. Bennett is C6, running Mist Splitter and Noblesse. And Xilonen is using her signature weapon, Peak Petrol Song, and 4-piece Instructors. Next up, we're against the PMA in the current Abyss, and I'm running a low spender team. Skirk and Mavuika are both holding Battle Pass weapons, while Neuvillette has joined as a temporary contestant to see if he's still in the debate. Skirk still has access to escofi, and Mavuika has access to Xilonen. Neuvillette has access to the 3 best 5-star supports in the game. Keep in mind, all the supports are running 4-star only weapons, so this is turning out to be yet another side-by-side that's really close and we don't really have a winner. So to get an answer, let's do some quote-unquote F2P comparisons, where Skirk does not have access to escofi, and Mavuika does not have access to either citlali or Xilonen. You'll see soon how dependent Skirk actually is on her best teammate. Second last test before 4 stars only. Let's do a fun, AoE heavy Furina versus Furina test. Freeze used to be an amazing counter to AoE, which these days is quite rare in the Abyss, but I still wanted to include this in the video as Furina is my favorite character. First to 25 mobs first wins. They're still with their 4-star gear, but I switched Mavuika to Prototype Archaic, and the other 2 characters are 4 stars running F2P weapons. Skirk's own AoE is basically like Keener's. It's not bad, but because when paired with Freeze, which literally freezes small enemies, you're able to hit a lot of targets at once. You really don't have to worry about positioning either. Mavuika, on the other hand, just hits everything in a fairly small radius around her by circling around, and her burst has a big AoE too. I don't know who's better exactly in this case, but you should know that Skirk cannot run an Anemo character like Venti or Kazuha, while Mavuika happily can. The need arises. Lastly, let's compare their 4-star only fully F2P team performance, for which I will give my personal opinion on both of the characters and which one you should pull for. I wanted to add some clips of like Alekino or Varessa to show that Skirk isn't as bad as she looks. She's actually one of the best DPS in the game still, but I'll talk about it later. Dahlia is actually slightly better than Rosaria here, as he enables Eshu and provides an attack speed buff compared to Rosaria's crit rate buff. Mavuika is not better than Charlotte here since you lose out on throwing tails. As you can see, Mavuika's already done, while Skirk seems to take a lot more time without her best teammate Escofi. Alright, now I'm going to tier list her in some categories. Keep in mind this is my opinion and I will explain it. I've also added some reference characters on the sides. If you disagree with me, that's completely fine, don't worry. So in damage potential, personal damage potential, she's easy S tier, okay? She can dish out absolutely massive numbers with the right supports, as you've seen at the start of the video. And she's up there with Varessa, Mavuika, and all those characters that do big damage. Potential without a Escofi, yeah? I'd put her in like A tier maybe. Then she becomes like a Zhao level DPS, I'd say. She loses like 30% team damage, which is a lot, okay? 30% is like the damage increase you get from switching out your Kirara to a C2 Nahida in a Nilou team, okay? But she's still A tier, which does say a lot about her. Next, I want to talk about Skirk's AoE. Her AoE is actually really good. I think I'll put her in A tier, maybe? The thing is, she can freeze enemies, alright? And freezing enemies stops them from, jumping 2,000 miles behind and dodging all your attacks like they do with, Hu Tao. And I really like that, and she has a pretty respectable, AoE on her normal attacks too, similar to like Arlecchino, and you shouldn't have too many problems in AoE situations with her. So yeah, she's not S tier, she's not Neuvillette, but she's still really good. And lastly, I want to talk about her versatility. She can only be played in Hydro Cryo teams, which actually really sucks. Unlike Mavuika, who can happily be played in Overload teams, Vape teams, Melt teams, and many, if the Abyss requires it, you can also play her in something stupid like a Burning team. She is not restrictive at all, but Skirk really is. Lastly, I want to talk about her ease of use or satisfaction. This is highly subjective, I know, but hear me out. Many would prefer units that you can just turn your brain off and go unga bunga than units that require, precise timing and following of rotations to output higher numbers, especially if the enemy moves around a lot or has some sort of annoying mechanic. But for this, I'd put her in S tier, honestly. Her combos are fairly easy to play, and she does have some very optimized combos too, which I didn't use in the video. But she's a really satisfying unit where after understanding her basics, you can just sort of spam NAs. You don't need to worry about uptime on auras or consistent reactions or double swirling with Kazuha or anything like that, and that's big. If you miss your melts due to Rosaria's Circle Impact on someone like say Gaming for example, you're just gonna have to take the L and move on. She does not need a shielder, it is easy to dodge with her, and overall she's a comfortable unit that I like playing. Whenever freezable content is going to come back into the Abyss, I'm sure she's gonna have really high usage rate. So thank you so much for watching my video. I think this should give you a pretty good idea about Skirk and how she currently stands. I know I uploaded this like really late, but yeah, I think my next video is going to be about the new endgame, Stygian Onslaught, and then I'll make more general videos, like about Genshin Impact. See y'all next time.